Pues, hello everybody, how are you guys? We are going to, first of all, nice to meet you everyone. Okay, hackers, I see that there are some people here. And one moment that I have, okay, there's, okay, so first of all, we are preparing the hackathon for this weekend. So thank you everyone for coming to the hackathon and for coming to the workshop too. It's very nice. Thank you too for organizing everything to Merge and to Botun. And we are going to start. Sorry if we are going to do in English because we are going to reuse this workshop and we are going to use this workshop for other things too. So, but don't worry because if we are everyone Spanish during the workshop and during the hackathon, you will be able to ask in Spanish because we are Spanish. We're from Spain, and that's everything. So, first of all, nice to meet you, everyone. I'm Axel, and me, Axel, and Matthias will present everything on this workshop, and will be your main mentors. So, if you have any question, you have any doubts, or when you are doing making your project, you are programming your project, you have any doubts, don't hesitate to send us a message on Telegram or WhatsApp and in the DMs too, if you want. And that's that's everything. So let's start. I'm going to share my screen. One moment. Okay, thank you. So first of all, we are from the BSV Association and we support what we call the BSV blockchain. We have a blockchain. We are the association that supports this blockchain, and our main task is to onboard new people in this blockchain, like making hackathons, talking with universities, for example, to make more workshops, talking with enterprises, to onboard enterprises to the BSV blockchain itself. So this is one of the main tasks that we as BSV Association are. And obviously, all the projects that you are going to do, guys, you hackers, are on the top of the BSV blockchain. So this is really nice to have. So I'm going to do only a little bit of introduction about the BSV block, what BSV blockchain is. Okay, it's only 3 minutes of theory. Don't worry about this. But for I think that you all know what Bitcoin is. If you don't know what Bitcoin is one of the major crypto blockchains right now. So we are a fork of Bitcoin. And in small words, we are a copy of Bitcoin, but with many changes that that makes this blockchain and bigger, much faster and very cheap. This is the good thing about a blockchain, and is that, for example, if you want to test your projects, you can test it directly on the mainnet. You don't have to use the testnet or anything else because the fees are so cheap and it's so fast that you could try everything directly on the mainnet. But this is a small introduction. Okay, everything that you are going to build, every project or the project of the hackathons will be built on the top of the BSV blockchain. And now comes the best part, that is starting this development. So the first thing, and I want you, if you have some problems here, okay, so I'm going to send a link right now for installing what we call a wallet. Okay, okay, yes. I'm sorry, lo siento por no hablar en español, but we are going to publish this workshop. But don't worry because it's going to be recorded, the workshop. So if you have some problems, you will be able to see it again. So the first thing is to install the wallet. Okay, the wallet is, for the people who don't know about blockchain, it's like the main application to enter to the blockchain itself. So I will send a link on this link, and like this you could be allowed to install this wallet. Okay, one moment. I will send this link to you guys. ¿Vale? Para la gente que no entienda el inglés, que lo siento por lo hacer en inglés justamente, pero para que vamos a tener que reutilizar esto también un poco. Que no os preocupéis porque en el hackathon lo vamos a hacer todo en español o en inglés, lo que sea. Pero la gente que no entienda inglés, os he pasado un link que es la wallet, que es la aplicación para poder entrar dentro de la blockchain. Okay, so I was explaining some things on Spanish too. I will change Spanish in English for the people that don't understand, but this is okay. I send you some links. So the first thing that you have to do is download the wallet. Okay? Lo primero es descargar la wallet. Once you have downloaded the wallet, okay, it's wait a little bit because it's a bit big, the wallet itself. We will have to open it and install it. Okay, it's a very straightforward process. Okay, so lo primero es descargar e instalar la wallet. Vale, voy a ir mezclando un poco el español e inglés. Lo siento por vosotros, pero vale. Perdona, Gustavo, sí, se escucha doble. Vale, pues desde que compartió la pantalla. Voy a intentar quitar la pantalla, a ver si y me decís en los comentarios si lo escucháis bien. Ok. So once you have your wallet installed, okay, you will have to open it, obviously, like a normal application. I'm going to open it. Okay, there it is. Okay, so entonces abrimos la wallet, ¿de acuerdo? Abrimos la wallet, we open the wallet. The first thing that we have to do is to configure the wallet itself. So we press on the button of configure, apretamos en configurar wallet, and here, very important. This is very important because we have to configure in a specific way for be allowed to take advantage of everything. Es importante que configuremos bien la wallet con lo que os voy a enseñar ahora. So first of all, I prefer to use one. And I'm going to send some links to you right now. Okay, moments. Vale, así que... vale. De acuerdo. No se está viendo la app. One moment, lo siento chicos, voy a quitarlo, voy a volver a ponerlo, a ver qué tal. Share screen. Ok. Ok. Sorry for that, guys. Lo siento por eso, chicos, tenéis razón. Vale. No se está viendo la app, pues voy a volver a... Vale, pues cuando vosotros abrís la aplicación, when you start the application, you have to configure the wallet. And for the configuring your wallet, you will see something like this. ¿Vale? Veréis algo tipo así. Entonces, lo primero que hacer es, os he pasado una URL, ¿vale? Que simplemente ponéis I prefer use web and you put the web URL that I have sent to you here, okay? And you press to refresh info, ¿vale? Apretamos en refresh info. This is everything that you have to do. Now we press on use remote storage provider, okay? Apretamos en remote storage provider y pegamos lo que os voy a enseñar ahora, ¿vale? Un momentito, que esto es un poco lío porque tengo que enviarlo tanto en LinkedIn como en YouTube, ¿vale? Si tenéis cualquier problema, ir poniéndolo en los comentarios, ¿vale? Intentaré, mientras que esté haciendo aquí la guía, responderos o ayudaros en lo que sea, ¿vale? Pero así que por lo menos tengamos todo hecho. If you have any problem, guys, just send a message or something and I will try to do my best to help you too. So we copy the URL that I have just sent you and we press it here. Copiamos la URL y la ponemos aquí, ¿vale? Now we press use message box provider. Apretamos aquí en message box provider y he enviado otra vez otra URL, ¿vale? And I sent another URL. Okay, guys? You just copy the URL, copiáis la URL y la ponéis ahí, ¿vale? And for finishing all, okay, it had been a little hard process, but for finishing all, you only click apply configuration. And now you have everything configured and you could create the wallet. Now, very important, ¿vale? Muy importante también. If you use your phone number to create your wallet. Once the wallet is created, you will receive some extra money that you will be allowed to use on the blockchain. ¿Vale? Lo digo en español también. Si creáis la wallet a través del número de teléfono, os vamos a dar ciertos, lo que llamamos satoshis, que es como la moneda nativa. Os vamos a dar ciertas monedas para que podáis utilizar y podáis probar la blockchain. So this is a good thing. You can use the phone number or you cannot, but it's recommended to use it for gaining this extra money. ¿Vale? Podéis utilizarlo o no podéis utilizarlo, haced lo que queráis, pero si utilizáis, vamos, vais a ganar una moneditas que siempre vienen bastante bien. So, if you have any problem during this stage, please comment something and I will try to help you. Si tenéis cualquier problema durante la configuración de la cartera y tal, no os preocupéis, mandar un mensaje y yo intento ayudaros lo máximo posible. ¿De acuerdo? Pero, but this is the basics. This is the wallet. For those that were in the call late before, a wallet is just the application to connect to the blockchain. If you want to create applications or you want to connect to applications, you will have to use your wallet. ¿Vale? Lo digo en español también. La wallet es simplemente como la aplicación principal y primordial para acceder a la blockchain. Si quieres acceder a la blockchain, quieres crear aplicaciones, quieres conectarte a aplicaciones, esta es la parte, vamos, esencial, lo más importante porque te va a permitir conectarte a él. Así que, si tenéis cualquier problema con esto, por favor, mandar un mensaje, cualquier cosa que os ayude. Vamos. Así que, vamos para allá. Y ahora os quiero enseñar, porque esto también aquí. Entonces, una vez que tengáis la wallet instalada, ahora os voy a pasar este link aquí porque esto es lo que es la aplicación que vamos a crear ahora mismo. Porque ahora ya tenemos la wallet, we have already the wallet, and now I'm going to send you an URL link with what we call the repository of the application that we are going to build. ¿Vale? Os voy a pasar ahora mismo la URL de la aplicación que vamos a construir. Un momento. Wow. Okay. If you want to follow all the process of the application, just download the code and open it with something like Visual Studio. ¿Vale? Si queréis seguir el transcurso de la aplicación con nosotros, simplemente descargar el código y descargar el código y ya con el Visual Studio o lo que sea podéis utilizar. Important too. The only dependencies that we have for the application in question is only two. The Node.js, okay? So if you don't have Node.js, if you're in Windows, you can install it. Or if you are in Linux, it's just a command prompt. And the BSV Desktop wallet that we have already installed, ¿vale? Entonces, en español, básicamente, para poder seguir el proceso de la aplicación, solamente necesitáis el Node.js instalado, el BSV Desktop, que es la wallet que acabamos de instalar, y eso sería todo. Con eso ya tenéis suficiente. En Windows podéis descargarlo Node.js desde la página principal. Y en Linux es simplemente un comando. También utilizamos Docker. We use Docker too, if you want to use. Así que ahora os quiero hacer un pequeño. I want to do a little and a small brief of the architecture of the application that we are going to build. ¿Vale? Antes de pasar de aplicación a aplicación, quiero presentaros un poco el brief que vamos a hacer. De la aplicación que vamos a hacer, vamos. Entonces, con esta imagen yo más o menos lo muestro bien. Pero bueno, en pocas palabras, vamos a tener un frontend. Okay, we are going to have a frontend application. And we are going to have a wallet client. ¿Vale? Tenemos un frontend y tenemos un wallet client. El wallet client es esto de aquí, ¿vale? Es la wallet que habéis descargado. The wallet client is the wallet that you have just downloaded. And this wallet is for doing payments, for storing tokens, for sending tokens and sending payments. La wallet es para enviar dinero, para recibir tokens, para hacer cualquier acción. Entonces, lo primero que se va a hacer, el frontend, va a ser, esta aplicación va a hacer ciertos requests de dinero, ¿vale? Tipo, mira, si quieres pagar 100 euros, lo que sea, pues te hace el frontend un request a tu cartera para pagar esos 100 euros. So the frontend will do a request to your wallet client for paying, for example, $100 o 100 euros, whatever. Y una vez que se haya hecho este request, lo que va a pasar obviamente, el frontend se lo va a enviar al server y el server va a hacer dos cosas. Va a enviar este payment, este pago, a la blockchain y va a enviar este pago a una wallet que es propia del server. Entonces, el server tendrá también su propia wallet que almacenará e internalizará este pago. Esta parte es muy importante. In English, so once you do the payment through the front end and you do the request payment, this payment goes to the server and the server has a wallet server too that will internalize the payment and will send the payment to the blockchain. Y una vez que ha transcurrido esto, este es como el proceso básico para una aplicación para hacer un pago. Y ahora, que ahora nos enseña también mi compañero Matías, toda la aplicación y el source code, veremos cómo incluso la tokenización entra también dentro de esto. So now Matías will show the source code of the application, will show the application in live too, and will explain how it is built and how the tokenization works behind.
Perfect. So, hello everyone. I'm Matthias. I'll try to make this in Spanish and English, but it will be mainly in English because this is a recorded video and shall be used in further moments. Don't worry about it because first off, I'll try to do part in Spanish as Axel did, but second, in the workshop like in the present hackathon, we're going to do the same workshop, but completely in Spanish and can guide you personally on these exact points. So for now, I'm just going to show you the application that we made. This is a crowdfunding application like Kickstarter, but very much simpler. In this, we have a goal of Satoshis that we need to raise. Okay. For now, we've raised 0 Satoshis. And I see that my wallet has been connected. I'm not going to show code right now. I'm just going to show you how does the flow of this application go. Okay. So, básicamente, esta es la aplicación. No voy a enseñar el código ahora mismo. Voy a enseñar simplemente el funcionamiento y el flow de la aplicación. Right now, we're going to do a 100 Satoshi investment. So I can go now to my BSV Desktop, my BSV Desktop, and it prompts me to pay these Satoshis. And I spend them. Now I go back, and my investment has been successful. Now I made the goal. So I'm the only investor. I can see this is my ID. This is my ID from the Metanet here. I made a profile with some Satoshis to use. This is the ID that I'm using, so I know that I paid it. Perfect. Right now, I finished all the goal. I cannot invest more. I want to claim my tokens. Now I get prompted back to. Well, I don't get prompted back to. Now I just received all these tokens. Now, how do I receive it? When I asked the crowdfunding platform for the tokens as a certificate that I invested in, it made a post-drop token to go to my wallet and being internalized. This is something I'm going to show in code later, but for you to know, this is the transaction on Watson chain that we can see confirmed. This is the post-drop token that was sent to my wallet with all the information about my investment, of course, encrypted, and all the transactions that were made for it, the Satoshis paid as an offer to the miner, and all the other outputs that were back to my wallet. Let's get back to this. Now I can view my tokens. In this case, this is the token generated for me. This is the transaction output of the token. It was the first output that we saw, the push token I was talking to. We can see that I have one token. This is my identity key, and this is locked to my identity key. This is a token that I will be able to spend in further operations if I need to. But for now, it's just a Satoshi with some data encrypted as a token that certifies that I invested in this, I don't know, solution. It's a crowdfunding platform. Let's imagine it was a technological startup that made this crowdfunding. Now, if we get back to it, It's funded. I cannot invest more. I can just view my tokens. If there were many investors, each one can claim their own token. And in here, many more tokens that will not be in green, but in orange, will be from other investors that also claim the tokens. Now, let's get to the code. I don't know if you're following me. Do you want me to clear things up? I don't know if everything's going good. Please type in the comments if you need some clarification in some parts or if everything's good. For now, let's go to the pages and to index. This is the first page that we saw. This one, okay. This is just HTML for you to see all the parts. All the CSS is in this module, so but we're not going to see that. What's important about this is, first off, we made a backend wallet. There's a difference between front-end and backend wallets. A front-end wallet is your BSV wallet, your BSV Desktop wallet that you can connect to applications. A backend wallet is a server-side wallet that you can interact with, but with code. So first off, I'm going to load some variables. This wallet that I'm asking for, okay, is my front-end wallet. Here in Live Wallet, I have some code to initialize my front-end wallet. With the wallet client, I can initialize it, ask for my identity key, and set my identity key. So I can receive the wallet client, and I can receive my identity key when I call use wallet. So now with all these two properties, I can use them and make all this code. After that, I will need my backend identity key. My backend identity key I will set later, but I will just get the wallet info with this function. This first one function is for me to call this API. And what do I do? Because now for interaction within the front end and backend wallet, I need information about both of them. This is my wallet client for the front end, so I have this information. In this API, which is here, we can see that from source wallet, which is my backend wallet, it just loads some variables from my end file that has to be pre-configured. Okay, loads some variables, make some constructors for services, wallet signers, storage managers, drivers. Nothing you have to care about right now. These are just some tools for you to interact with the backend wallet, but you'll see that it's exactly the same as the front-end wallet. So I've loaded my wallet and I just want my identity key. I load the state. So I said that the crowdfunding data, load crowdfunding data is just a function to set how the crowdfunding, the goal, how many investors do I have, how many not, what's the identity key of my backend wallet for this crowdfunding platform. It's just some functions that you can see here in lib in storage, some functions for writing this JSON files with the data about identity of investors, the wallet, the backend wallet, what was my goal, how many tokens have I raised, is it completed, and the completion transaction ID. It's just to load not only in memory, but in this JSON file that I'm using as a kind of database, all the information about this crowdfunding platform. But for now, you don't care. We just want our identity key. So now we received the backend identity key and we set it. So now we can use it. Now what we're going to do is get the status of this crowdfunding. We can go to the API and ask for it. Using Live crowdfunding, we just have some states about how the crowdfunding is going, how many investors. This is the initial configuration, and then it just in memory overwrites itself anytime something changes. Right now, in the status API, if you need some clarification or for me to go slower, please ask me. I will do. I just need to be informed. For extensions, I see there are questions for extensions. Yeah. So main extensions you need are just the BSV SDK that we can see here. This is mainly the only thing that you need. You need the BSV SDK, and in the backend wallet, you may need the BSV Wallet Toolbox. Also, furthermore, for a middleware for payments in the 402 protocol, you will need two more SDK, not SDK, but two more libraries that we can see here in the middleware, which is the BSV Auth Express middleware and the BSV Payments Express middleware. Not more middleware or libraries are needed to code on BSV. The rest of the libraries are just libraries that you normally use on a React page. So there's no app for Android right now. We are planning on doing this BSV Desktop for mobile, but still not available. You will need the BSV Desktop to start using for this. Okay, you may not use it right now in the phone. Even furthermore, that's for all the users right now. But yeah, it will be soon, but it's not available right now. So let's get to our work. So now we just want to ask the crowdfunding data that we saved, what is the state of our crowdfunding campaign? So what's the goal? How many satoshis we have raised? And this gives us back the state of our crowdfunding. Anytime it changes, anytime an investor spends something on it, everything changes, and we need to call for the status. So everything is already changed and updated at the moment. These are two simple functions that don't need much more explanation. All this code, you're going to be able to see it. Everything in the BSV is open source. So you can go to that repositories and search for information, dig in the code, copy, paste, change the UX and compete with that. This is the power of open source. Now, let's go to the most interesting functions and the primarily functions. These ones are invest and complete. So as we saw here, you can invest, and if you click this button, this function will be triggered. So let's dig in. This function firstly checks if your wallet and the backend identity key exist. This means I need these two for me to make any kind of transaction beforehand, even before checking how many I'm trying to invest. I need those two clients. Also, if the amount is below 1 Satoshi, that's impossible. So you cannot, like the minimum quantity of things you can transfer from one place or one wallet to another as a payment is 1 Satoshi. You cannot divide it. Well, most of these are just checks. You will see most of these part of codes that have a lot of try catches and a lot of if else's. They're just checks for troubleshooting and error handling. But the main important things are what we're going to say now. So first off, I guess that most of you know what the 402 protocol is. For ones that doesn't know, it's a payment required protocol that we can use with the BSV blockchain to, without paying with a bank card or a debit card, make microtransactions between machines, between wallets, or between services, between agents, very quickly within the BSV ecosystem and blockchain. First off, I need my key, my investor key. So from my wallet, I'm going to get my public key, just my identity key right now, and I'm going to call the API for investment, just post with not much headers more than application JSON. Why? Later, I'll tell about this and why is all of this, but I'm going to tell you what about. If I don't send headers about that transaction that I've been made, this API will just say, okay, you gave me too little information. I will give you a requirement for payment. So I'll give you some kind of hash that you have to use to derive your public key. So I can, when you send me the payment and the transaction that you signed with part of that hash, now I understand that this transaction is valid because first off, I have authenticated you. And second off, I can see that I sent you this code, and I can see that's mine. Sorry, I was reading comments and I was startled for a second. Yeah, so let's see this API for investment. It's not a very long thing. Most of it is just error handling, but main thing is this. First off, I load my backend wallet. This is my backend wallet. Okay, my front-end wallet, I send my investor's key from the request here. Okay, So no, first off, I do not send nothing right now. So if it's a post, it's gone. If it's complete, I cannot invest anymore, so I cannot go to this try catch. I just get my get out middleware, which is defined in crowdfunding, not crowdfunding, no, in middleware. Here I can make functions as calculate the price. This function is pretty simple. Just reads the amount that I send in the headers in XBSV payment, which is the header that I will send when I make a transaction. When payment required protocol is told to me as a feedback, and I just get the amount of the data that I sent, and that's the investment price. The run middleware just runs these two functions. First off, for authentication, in this case, these functions are brought to you by create me auth middleware and create payment middleware that directly from the libraries. These are just some functions to initialize them, and that's it. And the middleware runs everything else, extends some of the response for them to function here, and that's it. This code, you can adapt it to your specification when you are trying to code it, but it can be used as is. So there's not much more that you need to know about this code. So for this, I just create my auth middleware. I run my middleware right now, and it will send back directly to me a payment required. This is the response from the status, 402 payment required. It will send me a header with XBSB payment derivation prefix. So this prefix I save as a derivation prefix. Why? Because for BRC29, which is standard for Bitcoin request for comments, we say that, okay, I have an identity key which can be derived. How do I derive it? First off, I gave him a derivation prefix. Then I send a derivation suffix that I made from, in this case, I just code to base64, the word investment, the date of now, and UTF-8. That's it. That's my derivation suffix. With the function for get public key from a wallet, I can just say, this is the counterparty. So I'm sending to my back in the identity key. This will be the key ID or my derivation of my public key. It is not for me, so for self. And this is the tricky thing, the protocol ID. As we are using BRC29, this is a specified protocol ID, so security level and some code that was arbitrarily pre-made. You may copy this as the protocol ID for BRC29 and use it, just send it into a variable and use it. Now we have our derived public key. Perfect. What do we do with it now? This is for security. I don't want to send my direct public key. I want to derive something from a public key. So I have a extra layer of security. Right now, the only thing that I need to do for my payment is make a locking script that locks to my backend wallet, okay? And just says, okay, from payment to public key hash, I lock the public key, this direct public key. I make it to an address and to hex, and this is my locking script. Okay, you can search for all of this information. We'll send you a link that I'm gonna send right now in the comments. Here in the hub, here I'm gonna show you directly. You have here the hub of the blockchain. Here you can see the BSV Code Academy that we prepared for you with this proper knowledge and this proper code base. The BSV Academy for theory that you're going to be using, and also demos and onboardings with much of this code catalogs that are open source that you can use and see how does this code is being used in real applications, not only in this one. So you can start understanding how do we derive these public keys and how do we do X or Y. So right now, I made a locking script. As I said, you will know what this is and how to use it if you read part of this theory. But a locking script just is information so that when I create an action or I make a transaction, create action is for making a transaction. The only one that can make changes or unlock that transaction outputs is the one address that I made with this locking script. This function is to be imported from the BSV SDK. As you see, we import public key, the wallet protocol, which is the interface for this, random from random numbers, and public payments to public key hash. Right now, we are creating a transaction with this investment account amount that we settled in this part. This is the investment amount. So we updated it and we are sending it back. So for the create action, you need outputs, description, and options. This is optional in most cases, but for this, it is not optional. Right now, what we're going to do is, with our locking script and the investment amount in Satoshis and the output description for crowdfunding investment, we're going to create an action, and this create action creates this transaction and broadcasts it to the blockchain. So now it is inscribed in blockchain. But the main part of this is, even if it's inscribed in the blockchain, I need to let my proper desktop wallet know that that transaction is mine to spend. If I don't know that, I cannot do anything, even if I am the one that can unlock that transaction and use it. So if the result has a transaction, if not, it failed, you can return, or you can create this payment header. This payment header, we have the derivation prefix, derivation suffix, the transaction that we made, sender identity key, which is the investor key, and the amount invested. So this payment header, I will send back to the investment API. Now that I have information about headers, we can go to the payment middleware. It will read and authenticate that that header is from him, that the transaction is valid, and it will return to me a success, the amount, total raised, a message, and everything will be good about it. It will accept the payment. And after it accepts the payment, I can just internalize this action. The index here will say this action as it is will be internalized by the investment, so that the backend wallet knows it is for him to use. Okay, this was the investment function. I know this code is hard, as not many of you may be working in this with this SDK or with these technologies very normally or never. But once you understand why things are happening in the background, it's not that difficult to see how to do them in the front end. Okay. After we invested and we created all the transactions that we needed, the goal is fulfilled. I have all the investors, all this data I've said, and the status is correct. All this, the transaction is completed. I can touch this button that I showed you. Now it's not appearing because it's completed, but the claim tokens and distribution calls for this complete function. So let's see what it does. Right now, after handling, first off, it's going to get the investor key from the wallet. It will get a derivation prefix. This not now, as it's not from payment required and it's not coming from a middleware that internalizes and does everything, I have to make my derivation prefix and my own derivation suffix. Right now, I'm going to do it from random, okay, and just encoding it. And I'm going to use again this protocol ID, the derivation prefix and suffix. Counterparty right now is anyone. For self is not true. And I get my payment key. And I send this to the API for completion, API complete. I send the investor's key and the payment key. So let's get to the API for complete. Now we're going down. We're going to the ending place. Okay, so I know this is much more code. It's a lot heavy thing to see, but we're finishing. It's gonna be it's gonna be all right. So what does this do? It receives a request. Yeah, it receives a request, and we get our wallet identity. Right now, this wallet is not the front-end wallet. As you see, it's from the source wallet, which is where I initialize my backend wallet. So I get my wallet identity right now. I load the state from the confounding campaign. If it wasn't loaded yet, for example, it loads it, and I set the confounding state. I get my identity key and payment key from the request. And if this is just error handling in case any of these variables are not existing. And I check if my investor is existing in the crowdfunding investors. Why? Because if I try to claim something and I'm not an investor, then you should not be able to claim anything. This is just error handling. Right, let's go to the interesting part here. What I'm going to do here is to create a push drop token. So a push drop token is just a token with data inscripted in a Satoshi that we can spend because it's a spendable output. If I want to send a Satoshi to someone, I can just erase the information and send it to him as a direct transaction. But it serves to me as a token to save that data on it. Right now, I'm going to create a token description for the investment that I made. In this case, my investor has an amount of Satoshis invested. So this description will say crowdfunding token for this amount of Satoshis. With the push drop that you can use from the SDK push drop utils, you're gonna see much of these properties being called. Okay, so you can use them. I create a push drop with my backend wallet, which is the one who will create the push drops and send it to my frontend wallet. I will create a ciphertext which is encrypted. It's just my plain text, the protocol ID. In this case, it's zero security in just an arbitrary word. In this case, token list. Key ID 1, because 1 can be derived from anything. So that's why. And the counterparty, it's me, so anyone. In this case, we could say that the counterparty should be only my identity key, but it doesn't really matter right now because we're gonna internalize this action by ourselves right away. So that's not a necessary thing. We encrypt this data and we make a locking script with the push drop lock. In this case, just a lock as the other one that we made previously with the ciphertext, this protocol ID, the key ID, and the identity key. This identity key is my identity key. This is needed right now. So this information is in the lock, and I know that my identity was the one is the one that can unlock this transaction. And we will make, once again, a create action. As you know, create action just creates a transaction into the blockchain, broadcasted it, so it's inscribed in the blockchain. Create action doesn't mean, as I said before, that your wallet knows that transaction is for you to spend. It just broadcasted it and inscribed it into the blockchain. We will make a description, create tokens. We'll create some outputs. In this case, the locking script that I made to hex, the Satoshi, because the amount for a push drop token is 1. And this is one important thing. For me to know in my BSV Desktop wallet, in my front-end wallet, that some token is mine and it's from this application, we have something called baskets. So what's a basket? A basket is just a bin, a basket, that you can describe a name, create, and the tokens created and internalized to this basket will be able to be listed afterwards, just saying in which basket are you looking for. So if I make an application, for example, for a game and gamification of the blockchain, and I want to save the currency of the blockchain that I paid with my Satoshis, I can save them to the basket game X. If I'm making a transaction within a bank, for example, and I need some tokens for it, and I get my tokens, I can say it is in the basket Santander, for example. So this is just for your wallet to know that even though it's internalized and it's yours, it's from this place and can be listed and can be used if I call the outputs that are referred to this basket. Then we get an output description, crowdfunding token, and once again, I get these options, randomized output false. So what is this that I told you about before and I'm telling you about right now? This is the part where it comes in handy. Why? When you internalize an action, you normally say which output to internalize. You don't want to internalize all the outputs you make. You may, in one transaction, have 3 inputs and 10 outputs, for example. When I make a push drop token, I want to internalize that token. So normally I say that the first output, in this case, the index 0, is to be internalized. If I do not set false to randomize outputs, maybe my push drop token is not the 0. It may be in the index 2 because it's randomized for security. In this case, as we're going to internalize it right away, we make these outputs as randomized false. So it's always in the 0 index, and I can know and predict where it is so I can internalize it. Now, I created an action, but where did I internalize it? I'm going to show you that right away. We get that the investor has redeemed its token so that he cannot redeem it again, for example. We save the crowdfunding data, And if all the investors are redeemed, we say that the crowdfunding is complete. We send the completion ID in this last token, and we save again the crowdfunding data. What is returned to me from this API is a code of success, if it all goes great, a message with token distributed to investor, the transaction ID, and the complete transaction for me, and the investor count and all redeemed if they're needed. Okay, so let's go back to this API code. This response now has the information about the transaction. If the response is okay, then now I might internalize my action. So the transaction to internalize is from my data, the transaction that it came back from the API. The outputs, in this case, it's output index 0, which is what I was telling about to you, that I need it to be 0 because I cannot guess what output do I need to internalize. I need to internalize my pusher token, which I need to be in the index 0. Protocol, in this case, it's just a description. There's no need for protocol here. You can say basket insertion, for example. And in remittance, this is important, I need to specify that it is in my basket for crowdfunding. So later on, when I list my outputs and I say list from the basket crowdfunding, this token for me is in the crowdfunding basket. And I make it just a simple description like internalized crowdfunding token. That's it. So if all goes well, you get the status. If not, you get error message saying failed to complete. Either way, this is the completed function. And now, where everything is complete, you will go to view my tokens. And this is just the easiest part of all. Now I can go to my tokens page. We'll get, of course, as always, in this case, the front-end wallet from use wallets. I get my wallet and my identity key to compare all the outputs that have been made and that the backend wallet knows about. So backend internalize this token for itself, and I did too. But I need to confirm for me to see in this place, for example, that my tokens are my tokens. They're encrypted and locked by my identity. So I need my identity to confirm this is mine, so I can see that's mine in there. In this case, I just load my wallet and my identity key. I can load the completion text ID, just make some variables for this to load. Afterwards, I load the campaign status. And now this is just for loading the campaign status. I ask for status and I set the completion ID if needed, just for loading and for knowing exactly in this JSON what's happening, what not, and updating it every time. But the important function for me right now is this one, load tokens. So if I have my wallet and my identity key, all goes well, and I can list from my wallet the outputs for the basket crowdfunding, and I want to include locking scripts. Okay. If I say this, it will not only show me the transaction, but also the locking script, which I will decode to see information about it. As we saw in the pusher token, this data was unscripted in the locking script. So I need to decode it so I can see it. In this case, for easiness of things, as this is not software from the BSV, but just like software that you can make for decoding. We're not going to show how to decode all this information. It's very straightforward as you decode normally. That's it. So we're not going to do it. We're just emulating that we do it. Okay. I'm going to list all the outputs from these outputs that are generated. If there's no locking script, I continue. If there is a script, I want to, with locking script that you can see from BSV SDK, I can say that my script is a locking script from this output locking script. I just make a constructor because this is the class for it. I can also say that this script is a push drop, so I can decode the script, and this will be my decoded token. So the decrypted data is set to none right now. It's set to just an empty string, and for all the fields in this decoded token, and if the fields are greater than 0, I can decode the script. In this case, I'm just going to say that the decrypted data is the field 0 length in bytes, which I see here. Encryption token data is 79 bytes. I don't want to look for anything more. It's just going through an array of things. That's a JSON of things, nothing more. In this case, I load the transaction ID, and I say that if my completion ID is the ID, then I can say that that's my token, and I can push my token, and I can see it. So the token push is the ID, the output, the output for the token. The Satoshi is included in it, which is the amount that I paid for it. Login script, the decryption data, and the output point are same. Now, this is what lists my tokens here. And that is, friends of mine, everything that we are going to show to you about this crowdfunding demo. In this case, you will see, as Axel said, and you'll have this this link in the comments. You can see, I'm going to share it right now, as well as the hub link. You have all this information in open source for everyone who is curious about this and needs it. Well, you will need it, of course. Do you hear me? Yeah. Okay, right now, this. Okay, so this is also one of this is the link for the hub, where you can see the academy, the code academy, etc., demos onboardings. In demos onboardings, you can see a complete this is a complete installation guide for what Axel just said to you. Okay, so you can see it and try it again by yourself. Everything that you need to get started for getting BSV, which you don't need, because when you make this mainnet with your phone, you get BSVs. Overviews, demos that we made that you can see for it, the academy, so you can see the theory of each part of these technologies, and the code academy, so you can see a beginner guide to get started, start your development environment from backend and frontend, doing your first wallet, your first transaction, all with code and with the transaction flows, the wallet client integrations. Everything is on the hub. Okay, you can see SDK components overviews, code features, an intermediate part. In the intermediate overview, you will see this crowdfunding platform explained exactly, so that you can understand this code farther away by reading it in a documentation, not only for me to tell you about it in this in this direct or stream. Now, if there are any questions right now, we can answer them for you, Axel and I. Let's get Axel also in the screen right now. I think we are ahead of time, where we're not ahead of time, but it's perfect. It's perfectly calculated, 1 hour. So any questions? I'm reading comments. I don't see Axel in the screen. Let's get Axel in the screen.
So thank you everyone for coming to the workshop too. It has been nice. Muchas gracias a todo el mundo por atender la workshop. Os lo digo, voy a combinar otra vez español-inglés. I'm going to combine Spanish-English. If you have any questions.
Tenemos una preguntita, Axel, que respondo. I'm going to answer this in Spanish and English. So, the challenges are going to be set tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. You will have a session in which all the logistics for the challenges and for the hackathon are going to be responded and told to you in Spanish. Mañana a las 6:30 hay una sesión en la que Bautum va a poder explicaros, aquí también los compañeros que tenemos por detrás, como Sergi, van a poder explicaros toda la logística detrás del hackathon y los challenges que van a poder haber y con los que vais a poder interactuar. Esta sesión como tal era más para daros un poquito el concepto de cómo era para utilizar la tecnología. This was más to tell you about our tech stack, so you can be a little bit more swift when you get to a hackathon. It doesn't get to you on the first time. Sabemos que no todos vosotros sois programadores de BSV, pero conocer toda esta parte de información de antemano es, la verdad, muy valioso para el hackathon. We know that not every one of you is a BSV developer, but knowing this beforehand is pretty neat for the hackathon. Y para que sepáis un poco por encima, so that you know a little bit on the top, we have challenges from 3 businesses. In this case, Clusters Madrid, Fundación 11, and Mastercard. Tenemos challenges de Fundación 11, Mastercard y Clusters Madrid. Cada una mañana se especificará, como tal, mañana se especificará en el hackathon cuáles serán los challenges de cada una de ellas. Podemos decir las empresas que son y así las sabéis que son buenas empresas para que vayáis viendo. A ver, Francisco.
Es importante.
Sí,
Perdona, Matías. No, y digo que lo más importante también es que manejéis la wallet que instalamos al principio. Eso es bastante importante que lo tengáis todo bien configurado. Así que estos días, porque esto es simplemente como una demostración que hemos hecho. No hacía falta que lo siguierais al pie de la letra. Pero estos días intentar instalarlo, ¿vale? Y en Telegram y en WhatsApp, cualquier problema, de verdad, cualquier problema, nos comunicáis y vamos, os ayudamos en lo que haga falta. Pero la
So
wallet este es importante tenerla instalada, porque
in
es
English,
como la base de todo.
for this is like for our English users, like didn't need to follow this. We know this is complex things, and all of everyone of you are experts, but it is pretty necessary for you for you to save time in the hackathon and start just hacking and not worrying about all this tech stack that you need to download and configure. Okay, for you to download the wallet beforehand, to have Node, to have some notion about TypeScript and how to program, maybe not know exactly all the parts of the SDK because you have all this documentation for you to see during the hackathon, but do take a look at it and for you to know a little bit about it and then don't get like first-hand impression about it in the hackathon. Francisco Javier dice que él trabaja con TypeScript, entonces no te va a tener ningún problema en este caso porque esto es puramente TypeScript, pero que de blockchain idea. Así que me ha venido muy bien
Solo,
esta sesión. Pues la verdad que nos agrada muchísimo que te haya venido muy bien. Como dice Axel, si tenéis alguna duda, if you have any doubt, don't hesitate to talk about with us in the Telegram group. Ask all your questions; they will all be answered. And happy hacking for you.
y Francisco, no te preocupes por la blockchain porque justamente las herramientas que tenemos, bueno, las que hemos enseñado y las que estos días, si quieres, puedes ir mirando, es que abstraen completamente la blockchain. Entonces no hace falta que te centres todo en cómo funciona la blockchain y tal, sino que lo abstraen y te permiten simplemente centrarte en el producto.
Yeah.
Así que cualquier duda que tengas de cualquier proyecto que quieras implementar, lo que sea, contacta con nosotros y vamos, te ayudamos en lo que sea, Francisco. Bueno,
So
a ti
you
y
do
a
not need
cualquiera también que esté aquí
what
en el workshop.
what Axel said in English is that you do not need all this theoretical knowledge about how does the blockchain work because this SDK is an abstraction of it. So you can just focus on the development and your code without worrying on how does a Merkle tree work and um, how does this transaction go to the blockchain really and how does the miner get his fees. You just go directly in the code. So any more questions? We're here for answering. We're hearing you. Well, you can ask your questions here, but you can ask your questions in the Telegram group or afterhands. We know part of the audience will be seeing this as a recorded video and not in stream. So for those that could not leave a comment right now or a question and are curious about things or have any doubt, don't hesitate to talk about with us in the Telegram group and we'll respond to any question for you. We'll leave 3-4 minutes for you to make any questions. And if there are no questions further, then we'll close and see you on Sunday at the hackathon event.
Exacto. Exactly.
Vamos a esperar unos minutitos a ver si alguien tiene alguna pregunta. Y si nadie tiene ninguna, pues nos vemos,
De todas
señores, en el
formas,
hackathon.
exacto. Anyways, if you have any... bueno, vale. Tengo una pregunta más concreta, pero os la hago mejor después de directo. Perfecto. Sí,
Vale.
Francisco, no te
Sí, claro,
preocupes.
sí,
Si
sin problema.
quieres,
Escríbenos, nosotros te mandamos información.
exacto, mándanos a Matías o a mí o directamente por el grupo de Telegram o de WhatsApp que estés y vamos, te ayudamos en lo que haga falta.
Recordad, chicos, que para la parte logística, lo que hemos dicho antes, mañana a las 6:30 p.m. va a haber una sesión para que los de Votum os puedan explicar exactamente cómo va a ser la logística del todo el hackathon, los horarios, quiénes dan los eventos, cómo son, los premios, etcétera, todo.
Vale.
Perfecto,
Y
Isabel,
Isabel, también, por
pues
cierto, si sigues teniendo problemas con la wallet de escritorio y tal, también, contáctanos e intentamos ayudarte con la instalación.
hay veces que puedes tener un problema con el desktop y que no es directamente culpa tuya, simplemente que igual has metido mal un carácter o te has salido de la pantalla y has vuelto a entrar y ha habido un error. Normalmente esto se soluciona cerrando y volviendo a abrir, como, aunque parezca
Como todo,
muy,
en la vida.
muy común. Pero si tenéis algún problema, no dudéis en contactarnos y lo solucionamos.
Exacto,
As I
vamos.
said, I'm saying it in English. You may encounter some problems when using BSV Desktop and initializing it and configuring. Normally, this is solved by closing and starting up again. This may be because you got out of the page and went back in. It was just a bug. But if the error persists and you need help, please contact us and we will solve it for you.
Yes. So if we don't have any more questions, si no tenemos más preguntas, pues muchas gracias a todo el mundo por asistir. Thank you everyone for assisting to the workshop and we will see you this weekend on Madrid. Y
Aquí.
nos vemos entonces el sábado, bueno, el sábado ya sí,
Sí.
en Madrid, a por el
Ya
hackathon. Pues mucha
en
suerte a
presencial
todos,
para
¿eh?
que nos
Good
podáis
luck
conocer.
to everyone.
Happy hacking, guys.
Happy hacking, yes.